Okay, thank you for that. So as I say, we're recording tonight's meeting. We're delighted to have Anne with us to give us a wee flavour of a week in May. I have literally had time to start it this week, and my head's in France, put it that way, in more ways than one, but it's very happy to be there. So what I've done in the chat is I have put in some links for Anne's previous poetry collections, which are out, one with Tapsoteri and one with Red Squirrel, and simply put a note to say that the easiest way at the moment to get your hands on a copy of Anne's novel is via Amazon. Here's one I prepared earlier. I've got my copy and started it, as I said. So, really like to welcome Anne along tonight. I'm going to start off with a wee bit of background information just to embarrass her, because that's my job. And then we'll get straight into things. Okay. So, Anne MacKinnon writes in Scots and English. A new Scottish Writers' Award led to pamphlet Nae Floors being published by Tapsoteri. She's widely published in anthologies and magazines. Modern Makar Ann, a Scots collaboration, was published by Tapsoteri in 2022. She was nominated for the Scots Writer of the Year in 2022. Warp and Weft was published by Red Squirrel in 2024. She enjoys performing, doing workshops and giving talks. She's the co-founder of Ballach Open Mic, and that's a great night. Get yourselves along to it. She came second in the Neil Gunn competition and was commended in the Macash competition in 2024. She's Maker of the Federation of Writers Scotland for 2025, and her latest publication is a novel, A Week in May, published by First Chapter and available on Amazon now. And it's next chapter, not first chapter, so I'll just correct that there. Okay, it's next chapter books, guys, if you're looking for it. So, and as I've just said, absolutely delighted when I heard you were bringing out your first novel. Many, many congratulations. I take my hat off to you. So you've just finished a year being a Macker. That's a poet, surely. What are you doing writing novels?
Well, it's
But
very unusual. I don't normally write prose, not very much anyway. Although I have written a couple of short stories and they have been published. But I like writing short things. So writing a novel has been a toil for me. It's not my natural inclination to write long things, but I gave it a go.
and is it something that you had been working on for quite a while?
Yes.
Is it something that's been kind of in the back of your head to do even in the first place for quite a while prior to that?
Yeah. I started it 20 years ago, roughly. Um, and at that time, I was trying. I was doing a creative writing degree, and it was mainly Scots. I like to do Scots stuff, but also it was mainly poetry. But I did have to do some prose, so I thought, well, I'll maybe try a novel. So this really started off as a short story, but it kind of developed legs, so it became a prose, quite a long piece. But it wasn't until COVID when I had time that I decided I would go back and look at it and work on it. I had about 30,000 words, I think. And over COVID, I tried to do 500 words a day. And I finally got to about 60,000, which I thought was long enough to make it a novel. So that's what I did. But it was a labour, let's say. It wasn't a pleasure. So anyway, it was during COVID that I managed to get it up to novel length, and then I kind of put it away for another wee while. Then I had a difficult experience with a publisher who went bust, and eventually I went to Next Chapter, and they've it's finally out. So. And I set it in France because I like France very much. I spend a lot of time there. And I'd kind of just uh, had a good look at Narbonne, and it worked out that the plot would work in that area. I wandered about the streets and took notes and did things, which was very enjoyable. That
Must
bit
be an
was
awfully
very
hard way to do some
enjoyable.
research. Floating about a
Yes,
nice bit
it
of
was.
France.
I had to do a lot of research in France, but that was the most enjoyable bit of it. Then it came to actually putting it all together. But I finally made it. So yeah,
Excellent. And did you enjoy that process of the actually researching bit?
I didn't mind it. It was quite enjoyable because you're really in your head, you're trying to work out, would this work and is that place suitable, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was that bit was fine. It was then
It's,
trying to put it into words that made it more difficult. Yeah.
yeah, I was just about to say there. So, we can encourage folk to do their research and work out where they want to go and get their narrative going, and it's all doable. And then you go and blow me out the water by saying it's all more difficult after that point. But it's a very enjoyable process, I presume.
Up till then,
Yeah.
up till
I,
putting it all together.
I haven't been brave enough to try a novel. I did one play at work with about 20 folk, and that was enough at that point in time.
Mm.
It was a very interesting way of working,
Yeah, yeah.
but there was about 1,000 post-its on the wall getting moved as the narrative arc
Uh-huh.
altered all the way through it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a bit like you in that you said that you don't have a lot of French per se, language wise, and I certainly don't. I've been a few times and I can order a glass of vino at the bar, and that's probably a bit enough for me.
Yeah.
Um, but I found the wee bits of language that you've used really sort of pulled me into being there. But the other
Mhm.
thing I think I was saying to you today when we were passing notes back and forward to each other was, for me, it really, really helped to set up that understanding for the reader right from the off that Jen and Lisa, one's used to traveling and used to being fairly happy and contented in it, and the other isn't. And it helped me really to sort of to work out the early tensions and sort of plot twists and things in it that you were probably going to bring in just because of the fact that you used the language as in the other language, not our language, so well in it. So that seemed to work really, really well from what I've read so far.
Yeah, well, I did keep to the very basics because that's what my French is like. I mean, I can read it, but speaking it is not, I don't find easy. So, I was thinking of things that you would learn to say if you were, say, going on holiday or something like that, which is quite different from going to like the police station and trying to say somebody's missing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's much more difficult. Because we found that if you're doing anything technical at all, you don't have that range of language. So she was really stuck, and she was obviously thinking that Jen would just, Lisa would just do it all, and she would
Mm-hmm.
just be uh, tagging along and enjoying it. And then suddenly she was thrust into the world of
Mm-hmm.
France. Mhm.
But that sort of tension for Jane, I really, really picked up on.
Mhm.
Even as I say, I've not got all that far into the novel.
Yeah.
I've got past this sort of, she's going to come back in a minute.
Uh-huh.
Well, wait the now, maybe no. Better go and do
Uh-huh.
something about this.
Yes. Right.
That's the colloquial Scotch blood version, guys.
Uh-huh.
Um, so, as I say, it's been absolutely fascinating to start it. I'm delighted for you, but I'd like to shut up now and hear you reading a wee bit from A Week in May. Thanks,
Right.
guys.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to read the bit quite near the beginning because if you've not read it, I don't want to spoil it by going too far into it. So I'm just going to read the bit where, as you say, they're out shopping. They've been to the cathedral and they've had a wee rest, and then the two girls are out shopping. Well, they're young women, and they're out shopping, and this I'll take it from there. So after their break in the cool gardens, they feel very warm as they have a look at the shops in the city centre. Jen picks up a scarf from one of the stalls and turns to show it to Lisa, but she's gone. She sighs. Typical Lisa, off exploring. She turns back to look at the scarves and chooses one that is turquoise and covered in butterflies and has a few sequins sewn into it. She thinks it will be perfect for Lisa, shimmery and fluid. It'll be a wee thank you for this trip. She stands with the scarf in her hand and waits, but there is still no sign of Lisa. Jen thinks she must have slipped into one of the shops, and if she stays where she is, she'll come back. But after a few moments, her heart starts to pound, and she feels nauseated. A panic attack. She hasn't had one for years. She stands and breathes in for 4, holds it, then breathes out for 4. A couple of rounds of this and she calms down enough to think. A kaleidoscope of places rush before her. The Monoprix, Les Halles, the market with the wine growers' faces on the glass front. Could she have backtracked? The cathedral, tall and gloomy, but fascinating. It felt as if it might suck you into its depths. The crypt. Where could she be? Someone must have seen her. In her white linen dress and strappy sandals, she looks like a model. She was only out of Jen's sight for a moment, so she mustn't have gone far, but Jen can't stand here. The stallholder points at the scarf, which she has been clutching without even noticing. She gets her purse out to pay her. As she puts her hand into her bag, she feels her phone. She'll try that. Once she moves away from the stall, she begins to tremble. Her French is basic. She can ask for a coffee and say merci and bonjour, but she normally relies on Lisa to do all the talking. Lisa is the one who takes Jen on journeys she wouldn't risk by herself. Lisa is always in charge, and Jen feels completely lost without her. She's standing here in a city in France thinking, where did she go? Lisa wouldn't go off and leave her, would she? That's what's making Jen so scared. If they were out and one of them got lost, the other would phone and they would catch up with one another. But when Jen tries ringing her phone, it rings and then goes to voicemail. Her legs feel wobbly and she takes a seat at one of the pavement cafes she had been admiring earlier and waits, trying to be calm. Her thoughts are darting from one idea to another. Maybe Lisa had to meet someone and didn't think to say anything. She's done that before, but never when they've been away from home. Often she would be late for a rendezvous with Jen, or halfway through she would jump up and be off. It was one of the drawbacks to their friendship, as Jen frequently found herself hanging around waiting for Lisa. This is different, though. It feels as if she's been abandoned. The waiter approaches and orders a drink. Jus de pomme, s'il vous plaît. One of the few phrases she has hurriedly learned from a phrase book. As she sips the apple juice, she tries to think. She looks around at the other people in the cafe, the couple who are holding hands and letting their coffees get cold as they stare into each other's eyes. The mother with a young girl who is using her straw to blow bubbles into her drink. The single man in sunglasses with an espresso in front of him. She shivers a little as his glasses flash in the sun, and she feels as if he is looking at her. She shakes her head and tries to focus. In her job, she has learned to look at all the possibilities and eliminate the ones that are not feasible. But she can't think straight because this is a real situation and she is scared. Lisa sometimes plays tricks on her, but even Lisa wouldn't let it last this long. She would be back by now. For an hour she sits there, looking at every passing stranger, hoping for a glimpse of that white dress, praying it is a ghastly mistake and Lisa will reappear with her smiling face and say, "Told you that time, didn't I?" She is aware that the other customers have moved on and she's still sitting there. She's been unconsciously scrunching up the placemat on the table. She looks at it and realizes it is a map of the city centre. She straightens it out and stares at it. All the landmarks they had been to are on it, and she can see the street her hotel is on. She thinks that she can use it to find her way back there. Although it's a hot day, a shiver runs through her. Her dad used to say it feels like someone is walking on your grave. That thought makes her feel even worse. She keeps trying to convince herself that Lisa will arrive back at any minute. It is like it is happening to someone else. There must be an explanation. They say if you visualize something, then it will happen. So she tries to picture Lisa strolling up to her and in her usual fashion saying, "You'll never guess what happened to me." She must concentrate, but her heart is fluttering and her hands feel clammy. She feels as if she is being drawn into a vortex. Her head is throbbing and she can't think straight. The waiter comes over and asks, Ça va? Ça va? Un moment, she says, and then pays for a drink and gets up from her seat. She is dazed and wanders up the street, clutching the map as if it will lead her to treasure. So that's the disappearance. It's the beginning.
Very fine beginning indeed. It certainly had me going, oh, what's going to come next? And yes, I have gone round a fair few European cities clutching those restaurant maps from the first meal and turning it
Yeah.
sideways and going, what am I going to do? So
Yeah.
you've set that out really, really nicely. Jen's feeling a bit, what's happening here? Where is she? Where's she gone? And but Lisa's so gregarious and so happy, and of course Jen knows enough to know there's something that Lisa wants to tell her, and she's
Mhm.
also got her secrets
Yeah.
too. So she's
Mhm.
thinking, it's just related to that. She'll have met somebody, she'll have gone off to do something in that way that you sort of reassure yourself.
Mhm.
So you can already see there's the friendship, and it's an old friendship, a long-standing friendship with loads of trust. There's also that tension in the middle of that. So what I wanted to ask you before we move on to end much further is that differentiation, the characters between Jen and Lisa. Were they
Mhm.
based on?
Well, I would say probably they're based on an old friend, a friend that I had in childhood, and partly myself. I'm the quiet one. And my friend was Lisa, and she definitely was a Lisa. She was full of life, and she was a great character, and got into all sorts of scrapes and landed me in quite a few as well. So, I think they're loosely based on that, although, I've changed quite a few things in it. But it's that idea of two people who are total, you wouldn't think they were going to be friends, but they end up really good friends because of circumstances, really, that they've known each other since they were really young, uh, and they just got on. But that's where it comes from. And I thought having two contrasting characters and a situation that they're having to deal with, and they're both in their way having to deal with the situation, because Lisa's in trouble, and Jen is, she's kind of almost doesn't know what to do with herself. She doesn't know how to deal with it. And so I thought that was a good way to start a novel, by putting two characters in an awkward situation and seeing how they go from there.
Yeah, there's a real joy with the time that you have beyond a piece of flash or a short story, and actually being able to develop something that big. As I say, I've only written a play before, 55 minutes or something, but not a novel. But there's a real joy in having the time to actually develop the characters much further than you would even of an image in a longer poem, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, real joy to that. So carrying on from that, then, if you had this thought of two contrasting characters, one difficult situation, how do you then build plot from that? How do you get to that point where you're starting to get the tension, you're seeing the narrative arc sort of coming up and curving down, and before you hit
Yeah.
resolution, obviously, because you're not telling us the end in the night, you better know be.
No, no. And I'm not really sure. I think you kind of put them in the situation, and I think a lot of folks say this, it kind of just develops, it started off as like a short story, and Lisa would reappear or something, things would settle down. And then gradually, I got this idea of, no, she's not coming back. And well, the other bit that I might read tonight is about the fact that she's been kidnapped and she's been held. So she's not going to come back. And from that, you've got, what's Jen going to do? And how's Lisa going to get out of this awkward situation? And it just goes back and forward between the two of them.
Mhm, mhm.
Um,
And
Originally, when I wrote it really from Jen's point of view, because Lisa had disappeared. But then I thought, no, Lisa's too good a character. You can't just have her out of it. So she has to be in there, telling her side of the story as well. So, you know.
And obviously, you'd have to employ different tools to do that at the time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of doing it. It's not a spoiler alert. Thank you. We're doing our best. If somebody's finished this, they can just keep quiet. I'm laughing at the chat here. Usually, also, you maybe
Yeah,
didn't hear me saying at the start, but I haven't got that far into it yet. So, poor
yeah,
Anne's having to pick her words very carefully.
yeah,
So, one of the things that I have noticed fairly close to the start is Jen relying very much on the kindness of Lisa and having organised the trip, and also in the gift of a diary to write up about the trip. So, do you want to tell me about how that sort of come to be something that was part of
yeah.
what you were?
That was another kind of thing where I thought, how are we going to get Jen's thoughts? Because she's there on her own. She's obviously concerned, and she'll be seeing officials or whatever, you know, to discuss what's going on. But how are we going to get how she's actually feeling? And I thought the idea of a diary was quite a good way into it, you know, and the idea that Lisa had given her the diary so she could tell about this wonderful holiday they were going to have. And it's turning into a misery memoir almost, you know, because she's writing down all the things that are bothering her, you know. So that's why I thought the diary might work, you know, that
A
way.
very useful tool, though. And it's
Uh,
one you see a lot in sort of crime writing and stuff like that, whereby somebody's going either back decades, chapter to chapter, or they're sort of going into almost that third person sense of being a piece of different writing.
yeah,
No, very, very enjoyable. So, folks, poor Anne's going to be quite cryptic tonight because she doesn't want to give away her full novel. She'd love you all to go into Amazon and buy it.
yeah,
And certainly we're paying for that too. She had a fantastic afternoon today, I heard. She got
yeah.
shot off a whole pile of novels, so that was fantastic. To hear that was at Alexandria Library today, wasn't
Library.
it? Yeah,
And I think we had about 40 people, Mary. I think
excellent,
that's about 40.
excellent.
So it was really good. It was packed out. We had to get extra chairs in and everything. So
Oh, that's always a nice feeling. And I put the link for your next event up in the newsmail for the Fed
right,
as
okay.
well. So the one for next week,
Yeah.
when is it, the 10th, I think it is up in that
Monday the 9th on
Monday the 9th.
Mulgai Library.
Well, Guy, aye. Miss No Mulgavi,
Not Mulgai.
Narbonne. I've got to be honest, folks, I had to ask Anne how to pronounce this. And being a singer, she got the full phonetic range of choices because I hadn't been to Narbonne. I've been to the sort of southwest of France, around about Bordeaux, Bergerac area, but I hadn't been to where she was. So I had to ask her how to say it. So I'm just getting that out there. And for the moment, can I say thank you very much? Really interesting, a different thing for us because lots of our events are more poetry focused. It's really good to get a chance to chat with somebody about a different type of writing and give folk a wee, oh, I could try that. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
However, we've got a number of your friends in the room, and we promised them a wee chance to read something for us tonight too. And we did try and put a shout out for a wee bit of prose. So hopefully maybe somebody's got a wee bit of flash, a wee bit of prose for us. I would like to ask just by going around the room and asking if that's okay, if folk can bear with me to do that. So could I ask Donald, would you be willing to read first for us, please?
Hello there. Can you hear me
Yes,
from
Katie, fine.
here and greetings from Finland, where it's kind of melting now, +3. Not very nice and very slippy. Okay, I'm going to read this. I'm very grateful to Anne for choosing it. It's a wee bit of flash fiction. A story took its origin from trips between Edinburgh Airport and Dumfries, passing the source of the Tweed. And it started life as a poem, and it still has something of a poem in it. And it's called Sources and Destinations. He's driven them here. He can almost envy them as they enter the airport building. His brother, Alan, and his sister-in-law, Jessie, gone awa for their holiday to Sorrento. He has a glyph o' the departure boards, Simone far awa destinations, Antalya, Fuerteventura split. Would it no be grand getting a war for the dreich and drizzle of Scottish autumn for a couple of weeks? Then again the thucht of fleeing, and now this getting a war. Check in queue, security, with the indignities of patting down, trousers flying off ye, wondering if you forgot anything, and then being burst into the air tube or an aeroplane for hours, sweaty bodies and greeting wains. He kens that things hinna been that good atween Alan and Jessie for a while. Will this be the new start they've been ettling after? He hopes it will be, for their sakes. He waves him into security, decides he'll wait a bitty at the airport, a coffee, watch the planes taking off, muckle metal Whigmaleries easing themselves up for the runway. And sure enough, about an hour later, he sees Alan and Jessie's plane soaring up into the clouds. Say now the drive home, nae hurry, out of Edinburgh, past the Pentlands, the road getting higher, autumn colours on the birks, and higher yet, until the notice that says, Source of the Tweed. He's often come this way, seen the notice, never really believed it. There should be a kind of fountain splurging out of the hillside, he thinks, but there isn't. Mere some barely visible wee shooks that could be water courses or no, wat dubs or bits of a no yet burner gathering themselves together, stocher and doon gaining speed, converging. And he thinks of the molecules of water beating and growing apart, how the length of the sea, no kenning where they've come frae, get ta'en up with the sun and wind back to the clouds, afore falling onto the clean scrubbit brown hills of southern Scotland once again. Meeting, growing apart, meeting. It's every day, he thinks, like maybe Alan and Jessie. They'll fin together again on this holiday, and if they dinna, life goes on, this life or another, as some think, scientists, mystics, thinkers of yin allegiance or another, an infinite series of lives or encounters. What's the point of yon? He drives on o'er the devil's beef tub, wonders where the deal bides, arrives hame as it's getting dark. His brother texts him. They've got to the hotel. Lovely. There's a photo of their meal, the wine on the table, the hay and seafood, a photo of the Bay of Naples and all, silhouette of Vesuvius, and a photo of them hand in hand in the gloaming with Capri in them. He doesn't envy them, but he's happy for them. It all matters. Thank you.
I'll mute myself. I'm saying that's lovely, an absolute snapshot of life in the way that we kind of, it's like a sliding door moment sometimes, isn't it? We kind of go in and out of each other's lives and don't always know what's happening and what's going to be the long lasting ones.
Yeah.
That's just a lovely way of looking at relationships and land spilling past as the journey travels. That's just fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Angie, could I ask you to read for us next, please?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I decided to read a bit of prose today. So this is an extract from my novel Annika and the Treasure of Iceland. It's about a character who struggles with speaking due to communication anxiety and selective mutism. And this is what she experiences. Annika had to go to the store. She had decided to do so on her own and to pick nice shoes. Ragnar could look after the tomcat in the meantime. Felix the lucky one. Annika opened the door of the store tentatively. Her heart pounded. Okay, take a deep breath, she thought. She sharply pulled the air in through her nose and out again through her mouth. The out-breath took a little longer. And go, she entered. There was no one to be seen. There were shoes everywhere. There was a shelf with trainers there, and one with elegant shoes for gentlemen. Most of them were dark, black or brown. She noticed colorful children's shoes, and around the corner there were shoes for ladies. The air smelled of leather and vanilla. Apparently, someone had tried to create a pleasant atmosphere for shopping using air fresheners. Soft music played in the background. There was no singing, she only heard a guitar. Annika remembered the tune, but she could not think of what it was. Annika looked around and went to a shelf with shoes in her size. She took a pair that she liked. She examined the shoes all around, sat down and tried a shoe on. It fitted like a glove. The other one fitted as well. Yes, these shoes are good, she thought happily. And how much are they? That was her next thought. But the price was nowhere to be seen. Annika got frightened. There was no salespersonnel in sight. She saw other customers with a child next to the slippers aisle. Then she finally spotted a shop assistant at the till. She seemed loud and wore a dark blue dress with flashy silver clasps. There was something terrifying about her. Everything in Annika instinctively refused to come into contact with this woman. Yet Annika noticed even more that stopped her from doing so. There were several customers queuing, and someone was paying for a pair of black boots. She could not just go and ask what the shoes cost, because no one must hear. She desperately searched the shelf, looked at the shoes and the box several times, but there was simply no price there. Annika panicked. She also did not know whether she had enough money with her. What if not? Perhaps she should go and get help from Wagner. Lost in thought, the shoes in her hands, Annika walked in the direction of the exit. Suddenly, she heard a sharp voice shouting from behind her. Hey, young lady, where are you going with these? Do you think these shoes don't cost anything? Frightened, Annika stared at the shop assistant. She froze. Was she a thief now? She felt hot and dizzy. It was as if her heart was about to burst. She wanted to defend herself, but she could not say anything. No one must hear. Cat's got your tongue, the shop assistant nagged on. The shop assistant and the other customers stared at Annika in amazement. It must have been seconds. Endless silence. The lump in her throat made her feel helpless. She wanted to sink into the ground. Drop dead. Anything was better than this infinite shame. She suddenly pictured herself in a striped suit behind bars, trapped forever just because she could not talk, laughed at and tortured, dead. But her heart kept on beating. Suddenly she had the saving idea. She pointed with her finger at a mirror that stood by the exit. The shop assistant understood. Oh, sure, feel free to look at yourself. These shoes are sure to look good on you. And they are on offer today only, as it says on the sign there. The shop assistant turned back to the other customers. How could I overlook this? Annika thought for a short while. Annika went to the mirror as if she was in trance and put on the shoes. She looked great. She read the big sign twice to be on the safe side. It said in red letters, special offer today only, ladies' shoes 4,000 Icelandic crowns. It took a load off her mind, and a healthy color slowly returned back to her face. She now knew the price, and that she had enough money. Thank you, you wicked witch, she thought. She was confused but relieved. Now she could go and pay without needing to say anything. She just had to wait for a moment until the other customers had left. It was safe this way. She had just made a huge fool of herself and wanted to avoid even more unpleasant comments. Then she went to the till, put the shoes on the table. "So, will you take these?" She nodded. Shortly after, Annika was back in the street with her shoes. Now they were officially bought and duly paid for. She had done it without Ragnar's help. Tears welled up in her eyes. Perhaps in the future I should somehow tell people what the problem is, Annika pondered. That would protect her from any inconvenience and misunderstandings. Annika was now completely lost in thought. She was lucky things had not turned out worse, but now something became clear to her. Perhaps I might need something to show, she thought. A card that explains selective mutism with a short and simple text would be ideal. And if I had to deal with certain people for longer, I should consider making it known beforehand. Surely other people would be much nicer to me then. Annika liked her helpful ideas. The world was not prepared for someone who got speechless sometimes, but she could not help it. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I'm just sitting thinking how wonderful it is that prose allows that depth of expression. And I'm deaf, and I often have to say I'm deaf, and I know it's the absolute other side of the coin, and that I can't hear what other people say, and I can almost always happily and confidently talk, but I can absolutely understand the feeling of not wanting to be in whatever that situation is in that moment and feeling I've done the wrong thing. And I've had the very red face for the opposite type of situation, if you know what I mean, because I've not heard what's been said. But that was a wonderful piece of reading. And I also was thinking there, for those of you who are novelists and who do have books out, whether they're poetry or novels tonight, I'll let you off. It is World Book Day after all. Feel free to pop links in the chat so that other people can see your links for things. Angie, thank you very, very much just now. Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Could I please ask if Mary Thompson would be able to read for me next, please? If we can get your stuff to do what it should, Mary.
Sorry about that.
No, don't worry.
Solved it now.
It's one of those things where there's two items on for a moment while you're trying to sort things out. Don't worry about it at all.
It's solved now.
Thank you. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you very much. I've not brought prose, but I've brought a poem, which is very unlike anything I usually write. So I thought it was fun to do. I had a prompt, and the prompt was luxury. And I've been very, very busy with all sorts of things happening just very recently. So I thought, right, okay, I'll give myself an hour. Now this is to take to a group of which I'm a part, and they will pull it apart and put it back together again, and they will question the punctuation, etc., as groups always do. So I just thought I'd read it to you because it's in the form of an answer, it's called sort of, to a question. It's called My Desert Island Discs. I'll start with some piano, a little Bach. Myra Hest, please. She was my mother's style. Move on to some teenage Buddy Holly. Follow with the Beatles' gorgeous Blackbird. There'll have to be a Mozart string quartet. Definitely a soupçon of Schubert. Whilst I must have Beethoven's Pastoral, plus that horn concerto that Raymond played. To finish, any good choir singing Sleep by Eric Whitacre. I sang it once. I'd drown while choosing one from the others, so this is the one I'd save from the waves. My book is my own battered copy of Brewer's Dictionary of Phrase and Fable, because all human life is there, and mine too. A luxury? Now there's a problem, so a feather pillow, I think, to sleep on and to rest read, and listen to them all. Thank you. Can't hear you, Janet.
I'm trying to be good and mute myself in between, and I'm forgetting to unmute. Thank you very much. Yeah, that kind of ties on again, doesn't it? All this friends and contemporaries who help us along with putting our work together in the correct order and the correct characters, and where's that comma supposed to be, and why is it there, and why have you settled that? It all ties back into the sort of forensic effort that we put into everything we write, and that's just why it's fabulous that I'm old-fashioned, a book and a bit of paper and a pen, and I'm off, you know, and then the laptop comes into it later. So thoroughly enjoyed that, and you heard me smiling right at the start before you even got into it, just about how you would express it. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could I ask, please, if Palma would read for me next?
Hey there. You hear me okay?
Yes, hear you fine. Thank you.
Great. Congratulations, Tan, first of all, on the novel. I look forward to reading it. And thanks for inviting me along to read as well. I've actually been a member of the Fed for a few years, but this is the first time I've read here. So I've recently finished my first poetry pamphlet called How to be Scots Italian. My mum's side of the family is Italian, so I thought I'd read you something from that. This is about my grandmother who came over from Italy after the First World War. Her name was Raffaella, but the locals in Hamilton couldn't cope with that, so she became Nellie to them. And this is just a wee true story about my grandmother. It's called Heirloom. My granny couldn't read nor write, but travelled on her own all the way from Italy when she was only 17. Family friends gave her a job in their shop and let her sleep in the wee room at the back in a fold-up settee with a ginger crate for a bedside table. She didn't mind until one night she heard a rattling about her and looked up to find a man's face glowering at her through the skylight. She lay shaking with the bedclothes pulled up over her head, but when she kicked again, he was gone. When she told Rita and Ernesto in the morning, they said in Italian that she was havering, and how could a man get up there, and she'd know to be so silly, or they'd send her back to Italy. After that, she just couldn't sleep. So every night she sat up crocheting square upon square of pure white thread to make a bed cover, until the sun started to show its face, and she'd sleep for a few hours. Now that cover lies in my bed, spread out in richt bonny, and I ken it protects me frae ghoulies, ghosties, and glowering faces.
That is a fantastic image to have, that you're protected with something that's come in through the family, that your granny especially. I was very much my granny's girl. No, that's just fantastic. And that thought of the neighbours going, well, you're nearly from your own hen, you know, there's no getting away from it, you know. Once that was said, that stuck. Oh, that's fantastic. And again, feel free, pop up details for your stuff in the chat, Palmer.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic to meet you on Zoom. Hopefully we'll see you at an event
you.
at some point as well. Okay, could I ask if Anne Clark, AC Clark, would like to read for me, please?
Sorry, I wasn't expecting to read. I'm just here as audience. I've been absolutely overwhelmed, actually, most of the Federation work, and I haven't had a chance to do anything for myself for the last few days. So I've not prepared anything.
Okay, that's fine. And it's just that I know I was unable to get back to you very quickly because I didn't have much of an
no, that's all right. I
earlier.
wasn't intending to read. I get loads of opportunities to read anyhow, so you know, and I haven't got any prose.
Well, you don't need to have prose. We'll let you away.
But anyway, no, thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll give other folk a minute or two to be brave, and I will read next if that's okay. I have got a very, very short piece based on being from my wee town, Falkirk. And for anybody that knows it, they'll know it's got a steeple right in the middle of it. And you know that way when you're in a hurry sometimes, or you're just sitting and watching what's happening, you see these poor, mostly young student age group people trying to get folk to buy something. And call them chuggers, you know, that they're trying to talk you into signing up for something or to doing something. And you see everybody just bustling past them and ignoring them and all the rest of it. But this particular wee snapshot of an afternoon trip to Falkirk stuck in my head, and a wee bit of a sort of prose poem, I suppose, came out of it. So this is snapshot. Sharp shoes and 2 short trousers with glinting gold belt buckles carry the weight of thin-legged suits. Shown off too much soak to fit 'em just right. Tie red and shirt school white. First job boys grown into men who march confidently by, no yet pulled down by the Monday to Friday repetitive rhythms of life. Braying voices, almost passively aggressive in its repetitive sales-pitched whine, cause folk to sidestep saying, "No, I'm busy," without even looking up to the face of the dance partner with whom they were trying to shimmy. Selling today's special wares in a t-shirt labelled, "I don't care, but I need the wages." Algins sit in midday sun outside coffee shops yapping awa, as if a continental warm breeze has brought more than rising temperatures to Falkirk when al fresco feel, for a day or two at least. Relaxed, they tay-tap along to buskers with low-voiced notes mimicking Elvis, hoping for a glint of silver or gold to drap into their pavement black cap, till they pack up world-weary thinking, is it worth coming back? Stand still for half an hour and all this you'll see in ony high street setting, but here in Mines, still feels quite real, almost vibrant. I watch on, semi-sheltered from the heat under scabby to-let for sale boarded shop fronts, selling phones, loans, cheap shite and charity shop delights, whilst the peal of the steeple says, "Still here," just as it rings out 2 p.m. again, and it'll do the same the morrow, and the day after that, and that, and that. Thank you. So I'm just going to ask out loud. I'm just going to randomly shout names at you. There's a few folk I've said they can't read tonight because, like me, they're a wee bit full of the cold. So Lisa, would you like to read for us tonight, please?
Sorry, I was having a problem with the unmute button. It wasn't wanting to unmute. I usually write prose, but I thought, oh, I'm just going to try something different. And with Words with Seagulls, we've kind of tried to do a theme every month for this term, kind of just to give people a prompt, but you can come along and read anything. But this week coming, the following Sunday is Mother's Day. So I just got in mind, well, let me try and do something about my mom. And I had a few goes and I was just really unhappy. So anyway, I was sitting on a train and this came to me. So, Mum, you canned, I flamencoed. The beats of our rhythm of life, a choreography of misunderstanding, rarely in harmony. Flights of fancy, chasing your dreams, quashed by war, and subjugated by an unkind hag. A chasm between how we responded until I birthed my own daughters. You were outgoing, exuberant, vital, the life of the party. I was introverted, curious, prone to bouts of melancholia. You liked the buzz. I wanted silence. Now you were flying with the larks, and my dream is for a new dance. Harmonic rhythmic beats of acceptance.
Ooh, you can see from my face, I enjoyed that. I am very different from my mother in some ways and very like her in others. And that generational thing of, as you say, going on and through till you birth your own daughters, and then maybe you see things slightly differently, or you get a better picture as to what's been done for you in life, don't you? Oh, that's just beautiful. Thank you very, very much. And it's good to hear you reading a wee bit of poetry, so thank you. And I'm going to another wee prompt for mine home tune here. Lisa and her friend Debbie run a fabulous event in Falkirk. Usually the second Sunday in the month, around about sort of 14th, 15th, 3rd. And it's just wonderful wee afternoon. It's a mixture of readings and music, and it's just fabulous. So check it out. It's in the Fed newsmail, and for those that are on Facebook, they also have a Facebook group, so you can get in touch with them there too. But it's a really, really good event, and it's built brilliantly in the last couple of years, and it's something that loads of folk are clamouring to get to and read it. So get yourselves along. Right, last shout. If anybody wants to read, open their mic and tell me, Janet, give a wee show, or I'm going back to our wonderful novelist. Give a second. Oh, well, Anne, you're back on then. A week in May is restarting in March.
Okay.
Fantastic, Anne. So before we jump back in, I've got a couple of tiny wee questions for you, because I didn't want to come in many questions after you've read. I want that to kind of read us out the room. First is right at the start, as I said to you, you know, I've had the delight of you being our maker for us last year at the Federation and all your poetry work. And you and I have spoken about some of the sort of creative concepts that take us to that in the first place, with the tapestry and stuff that we both share a love of, and a love of the islands and stuff like that, and puffins and all sorts we've spoke about. So what's next? Will it be back to poetry? Will it be something different? And what advice have you got for folk to just dip their toes in the water trying to write in a way they didn't actually and usually do, which Lisa's just said she's brave enough to have done?
Well, for me, I'm going back to poetry. I'm happy with poetry. I like it. It's short and you can write something in a reasonable amount of time. Like Mary was saying there, give yourself an hour and get something done. Whereas prose, it's constantly with you. But I would suggest that it is. I'm in Strathkelvin Writers Group, and they have competitions, and they have, you know, short story, the beginning of a novel, poetry, flash fiction, you know, all these kind of things, a bit like what the Fed has, the flash fiction and things. And I try them all, you know, I give them all a go. But I'm not saying I'm very good at some of them, but you know, I think, well, it makes you think in a different way. So I would suggest go for the Fed flash fiction, or go for the Fed competitions maybe as well, because you're trying different things. You're just, you know, and sometimes I write something that's a story and then I end up cutting it back down and making it a poem, you know, so you can, you know, so that would be my suggestion, is to enter a few of these competitions, and then it gives you a wee shot at doing something different. So all I can suggest.
That sounds really interesting advice, because if you think about synaptically how we develop ideas and things, and even my brain just went, what? When you said something that looks like it's going to be a story and you turn it back into a poem. Houdini.
Yeah, or something that's a poem and you expand it into a story as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. And Anne's just probably giving us a wee shout out there for the Fed as well. Thank you for that. We, right at the top, have got a link for joining if anybody's here as a guest at Anne's tonight and isn't a member of the Fed. Click on the homepage, go down it, and you'll see the joining details. But also, our open competition is currently open till the 12th of April. The link is at the top of the chat for that. And our next flash fiction event, which goes out mostly advertised through our Facebook page, will be in April. So keep an eye on the Facebook group for that. That's building slowly into something that folk are enjoying. And again, we're putting people who won the sort of first 4 plus the 2 first events of this year will go into the upcoming anthology. So it is an opportunity to get published by the Fed as well. But you know, throw your hat in the ring of the competition, as the saying goes, and it's certainly open for a good few weeks yet. So get cracking with that. And could I ask you to give us another wee bit of a week in May?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
This one is further on. It's chapter 34, and well, as we said at the beginning, Lisa has actually been kidnapped, and it's from her point of view, she's stuck, and it kind of explains how she's feeling. And it has to be in the first person. The rest of the book's in the third person, seen it through Jen's eyes a lot of the time, but in this particular bit, it has to be Lisa kind of just, she's almost talking to herself. She's just telling how she feels. So I must have dozed off, and I woke myself shouting, "No, no, the dark is terrifying. 'Tis like someone has switched you off, and if it wasn't for my other senses being so sharp, I could imagine myself dead. I long to see something. If only I could get my hands free, I could take this blindfold off, but then I would see him, and I would know his face, and he wouldn't be able to let me go. It must be a very isolated spot, as no one else seems to be around. I could die here. What if something happens to him and he never comes back, and I am left here to expire? I must think of something. I start to sing to myself in a pitiful, snivelling little girl's voice. Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques. I can't be too far from civilization, as every hour I have heard a bell. It always rings twice, so I have time to count the chimes, and I tick off the hours as they pass. I know they were used to call people in from the fields, so that means I am within walking distance of a community. It must be far enough away that no one can hear me, though, as he hasn't bothered to gag me. If only I could free my hands, I might try to escape. I am underground. The knots are tight. It is like wearing string handcuffs. There isn't anything sharp within my reach. I slump back in despair, and then I feel it. The hairpin with the butterfly in it that I had stuck in my hair at the last minute. I must reach it. Maybe all those yoga positions will help me twist my body enough to get a hold of it. There is a small glimmer of hope, like the butterfly, flickering through my head. I must have dozed off, as when I came to, I am so aware of where I am, of the damp, dusty smell. The butterfly, I must catch it. What is that position in yoga where you clasp your hands in front of you and try to put them over your head and onto your back? I will need to try the opposite technique and move the hands that are tied behind my back at waist level up towards my head. Sounds easy, but it takes a lot of patience and grunting and groaning. I have almost made it when I hear him coming, and I slump back into my original position, the butterfly momentarily out of my reach. I must look like a butterfly pinned in position when he comes in. In a museum, I saw trays of these beautiful creatures, their wings spread out and a pin stuck through them. I thought how sad it was that someone got pleasure out of preserving them under glass. They are so beautiful when they're flying around and shouldn't be trapped. Is he enjoying the power he has over me? This time he has brought a slice of quiche. It is a little moister than the bread and cheese I've had for the last 2 days. I relish it and move it around in my mouth, savouring the flavour of the salty bacon and the rich cheese. The last decent food I had was the night Jen and I went out for dinner. I was really enjoying introducing Jen to the food of France. I was hoping I would convert her to loving the place as much as I do. This is very different from what I expected to be doing. This man has me under his control, and I hate it. I gag at the thought of my helplessness, but the food is too good to waste, and I have no idea when my next meal is coming. I'm so busy eating that I don't even try to talk to him. I remember how he took the cheese away the last time I asked him a question. I have so many questions, though. Each time he comes in, I think it is going to be the end of this ordeal, one way or another. I still don't know why I'm here. Why do people kidnap? To keep you as a slave, to ransom you for money, to torture you? I certainly feel tortured, both mentally and physically. I've never spent this much time alone before. and I'm very uncomfortable, but he has not been particularly cruel, apart from at the beginning, when he was transporting me. I've had such a good life and been allowed to be free, so this is a nightmare. If I get out of here, I'm going to think much more about the impact I have on other people, because I didn't tell Jen that I was going into the shop. I left her alone with a really difficult task. How selfish can you be? He has gone, so I'll go back to the butterfly. Next time he comes in, I will be ready for him.
And my brain's going, ooh. Fantastic. True professional writer there, Anne. Just hook us into the next bit. Yeah. So as I say, yeah, it must be quite an amazing feeling to know not only have you written it, but you've got it out there. Many, many congratulations. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in. I know Ellie had said on Facebook that she'd worked her way through it in 2 days, and unfortunately I've just not had the time this week to do that with 1,000 other things going on. But yeah, for anybody who hasn't got it, I'm going to do that thing again. Here we go, folks. It's out there, it's live. It's on Amazon, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming along tonight to hear Anne and celebrate Anne's new novel. We will definitely be returning to a Meet the Author type event, and my head's already thinking of 2 or 3 folk that I'd like to invite to do that for us from different aspects and different ways of writing as well, because I think it's really interesting to think of doing things in a totally different way to what you're used to, out your comfort zone, try something different. And as Anne had said to me, the thing of every writer's thoughts, keep going. Is that right, Anne? Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. That's what I would say. You'll get there in the end. Just keep doing it. And it's so enjoyable when you're, actually producing things. That's great.
Yeah. Well, I think that deserves a round of applause. Open your mics, folks, and give Anne a wee clap.
Thank you to everybody who read. I really enjoyed tonight. It was lovely. And Donald, thank you very much, because I wanted to hear that story. That was the Scots flash fiction one.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Anne. It's very kind. Thank you.
It's great.
So we haven't got our next Zoom lined up. We've been bang, bang, bang with them this far in the year, but there'll probably be something in April. I'll be speaking to Makar and Screever, who are both under the cosh of Fed support at the moment, because we're pulling together our anthology readings from our members. And as I say, the open comp is now open for everyone to chance their arms, to get your hat in the ring and all that. So fantastic wee night. Thank you very much to everybody, and take care of yourselves, and we'll see you later. Away and get a book out. Thank you very much.
Janet. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.